folks, you're listening to the Silicon Dreams on Radio Zindagi 1550 AM, and we're kickstarting the series on Web3 AI ML. With me, we have Sam Ewen, and Sam is the head of Coindesk Studios. And for those of you who are not aware, Coindesk is the biggest crypto publication on the globe, and they have done a great job advancing not just the knowledge about crypto, bringing it to the masses, but covering news as it happens in the world of Web3 and crypto.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Sam.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Sam, in a couple of sentences, would you love to talk about your journey into this wild west world of Web3?
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in crypto since 2014, and more as a hobbyist in investing, and then I've been in the media and marketing business for most of my career. I was working at New York Times for 4 years. I had my own creative agency for 10 years. And I joined Coindesk about 2 years ago because it sort of fused my passions of media, marketing, and Web3 and crypto in general. And I think it's just such a great time to be in the space because we're really at the beginning of a kind of digital and innovative transformation.
That is right. For crypto, it has been around for a decade, but the true advancements in Web3 decentralization have come over. We have seen a lot of advancements in the past couple of years. We just wrapped up Consensus last week, and Consensus is a conference. It's the biggest crypto conference in, I'm probably going to say the globe again,
Correct,
because it attracts talent from across the world. And coming off of Consensus, right? This year compared to the last, how is the turnout? What are people focused on building over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, this year's been great. I mean, we had 14,000 people come to the middle of Texas to talk about what's the innovations that are happening in crypto and blockchain, in regulation and sort of the government environment, as well as Web3 and the cultural side. What we've seen, I think, is for many years, the first 10 years of crypto was very financially focused. It was very much about peer-to-peer payments. And what we've seen in the last couple of years is the cultural side coming. So you're seeing art and music and gaming and all these different areas. Big brands are starting to play in the space through loyalty and membership. And it's been a bit of an opportunity, I think, for people to rethink about, when you think of what Web3 is, Web2 is very much about, this kind of social version of the internet. Web1 is read, write, right? Web3 is about ownership. It's the idea that I can have a token in my pocket, and that, by connecting a wallet to any website, I can become part of a community, but I can also participate in ways where I get to own that participation, right? It's not like a brand can come and say, you know what, I didn't like what you said on Twitter, we're going to cut your account off. The fact that I own a token, an NFT, game land, any of that allows me just a certain amount of freedom that we kind of need in our world to be able to, I think, have agency in our own decisions. And it's this layer that has been built on top of now many different blockchains. But really the concept of how we connect as communities, I think, is being revolutionized in front of our eyes.
That is a great way to kickstart use cases of Web3, right? Because that was the next question that I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
When a lot of people look at cryptocurrencies, especially in the United States, they just look at it as a high-risk investment asset. But the concept of decentralized finance, where it kickstarted with the Bitcoin white paper coming out in 2008, and with Bitcoin being subsequently launched in 2009, wasn't exactly around creating another asset class necessarily, right? So Coindesk has eyes across the globe, outside of US, especially in areas like Africa, etc., where we do not have a matured infrastructure for finance and even things like telecommunications, etc. How do you see decentralization or decentralized finance? Let's talk about that, because Coindesk has covered DeFi for such a long time. How do you see that truly change and impact lives?
I mean, to me, the best example is what Stellar Development Foundation and Circle are doing around relief aid. So if you think of the crisis in Ukraine, normally, if I was to donate money, there would be, I'm going to send $20. It's going to go to some organization. They're going to take my money. Some piece of that's going to automatically go off the top to manage the experience. It's going to take 8 weeks to get into market. And, through the course of it, a dramatic amount of money is, I heard a figure this morning, $4 trillion in the financial services industry goes only to the people who move money around the world.
Yes.
Right? With what Stellar and Circle are doing, I can donate money to a cause in Ukraine. That money can be deployable on the ground in 2 minutes. So it goes from my wallet to a wallet of an organizer there. The other thing is, think about when you're in a area, Africa, South America, where the currencies may not be stable. I can keep it in a currency that's pegged to the US dollar, which is pretty stable. So it allows me not to have the fluctuations of value that do happen within traditional finance if you are in a locality where the government can manipulate the funds. And I think that's a simple example of the idea of how one can transform their mindset, because the idea that you give power, and power is money, to people who want to make change, but give them the ability to own their own finances, and where they're not having to pay a tax every single hop along the way. One other example I'll give you, which I think is really fascinating. Imagine there's an amazing creative artist who lives in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm someone who needs a creative artist to design a movie poster. I can go on a forum, I can find this person, we get to have a conversation, we can peg the price of the work to a currency that is valued the same across the world. So instead of me wondering, oh, is the Mexican peso 1/10 of the price of a Mexican dollar, I get to say, no, I will pay you 0.5 ETH to do the job. 0.5 ETH for me may be a great value, but someone in Africa, someone in Mexico, that might pay their rent for a month. Might
More
be
than
one
that.
job. And so I think that's where I also think that if we could standardize, and again, it doesn't have to be specifically about ETH or Bitcoin or any of those specific currencies themselves, but the idea that we can say we all agree on the value of this token, and then we get to deploy in that token globally, it actually raises the value of everyone else to come up versus like to what the most valued currency is. That's why I like Circle and what USDC is as an example, but it really could be anything. Bitcoin is a great store of value. ETH seems to be retaining its value. There's a lot of ways that I think we can think about the creative services industry. As we talked about aid, I think there's also these use cases where people are starting to say, oh, instead of paying all of the taxes around selling my apartment, I have to pay a title fee and a bank closing fee and this and that. What if it's an NFT? You have to have some security, make sure no one steals your house if you lose your wallet, seed phrase. But the idea that says, let me cut out all of the middlemen because every one of them stamps on those dollars. And it's just it's not a good look for humanity when all we're trying to do is extract as much value away from people versus being additive to what can benefit people's lives.
You have spoken about some great examples. So guys, there are over 1.8 billion people in the world who are unbanked today. And a lot of the banks don't want them as customers because they do not bring enough money into the banking ecosystems. Plus, they might not have a credit history, so bankers look at them as risky customers. But DeFi doesn't discriminate. And the biggest thing is, like, unlike banks, where the banks have to look at their risk profiles because they are custodians and that's how they make money. When people use decentralized finance, the blockchain protocol, Ethereum, or any of the chains to store their money on, they are their own banks, which means that it does come with responsibility. As Sam was pointing out, there's a concept of seed phrase, which you can think of as a password. However, today, if you lose your seed phrase, you lose access to your wallet. That is changing. We have new protocols coming in where with some social consensus and different methods you can recover. However,
even the ERC 4337 is all about the idea that...
So ERC 4337 is an improvement, a proposal, an EIP on Ethereum. So EIP stands for Ethereum Improvement Proposal, and the proposal for 337 is exactly around that, which is being able to recover your seed phrase if you lose it. Today, there are a lot of funds just locked out on Bitcoin and Ethereum because people lost the seed phrases to their wallet. So that's going to change. More importantly, Sam, I would love to talk to you, just elaborate a little more on the idea of being able to store a currency. So, what you were referring to, what immediately came to my mind was NYRA. So NYRA is the currency for Nigeria. And today in US, people are not foreign to the concept of inflation, especially over the past 2 years. But in countries like Nigeria, they are experiencing something close to hyperinflation as well, right? And obviously Argentina, Venezuela, they have had over 200% inflation. So if we talk about NYRA, and we have seen some companies do the work of being able to allow people in Nigeria easily store their NYRA as digital dollars through USDC, etc. Can you talk about it, like in the long run, what does that mean and why can't they do it? Or is it something that they can do with their banks easily today?
I'm not going to say I'm an expert on that side of it. What I will say is money is freedom.
Yes.
And I think you brought up the fact that hyperinflation is such a virus, if you think about it, because it allows for control of a population.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that we're seeing is the opportunity, and again, this is happening more and more globally, but the idea of being able to hold in a reserve currency in a wallet. And, to your point, I mean, here's the thing about a seed phrase. People should value the things that are valuable in their lives, right? And so whether it's a 12-word phrase, a 24-word phrase, and the opportunity to say, whether I memorize it, whether I have to hide it with, half of my parents' house and half of my house, whatever it is, I think it's also okay to say that your identity, your assets, and your money is valuable, and so do the work.
Yeah.
With that said, though, I will say yes, to your point, in all of these places, whether it's the NYRA or other currencies around the world, there are becoming easier and easier ways to convert to local currencies when you need it. So if I have, if I was, I'll go back to my aid example before. If I am someone who is raising money for a local need on the ground in Venezuela, and I raise 10 ETH, right, today, close to $20,000, and I keep it in an ETH or I convert it to a stable coin, I can deploy that when I need it. And there are a lot of services now that have a fiat off-ramp. So it says, okay, I need $200 today, I get to do that. And the rest gets to be in something. Maybe I want to keep it in ETH and see if I can get a little more gain if I think ETH is going to go up. Or again, maybe I keep it in the stable currency where I know the exact value of it. But again, that's a powerful transformation in the financial infrastructure of a locality. And I think that's what we should be focusing on. Is how do we encourage more and more people to do the work and get there by themselves.
So for the benefit of the audiences who are new to the world of Web3, what I wanted to quickly focus on were a couple of terms that were used by Sam here. So you heard the terms fiat on-ramp. In the world of Web3, your fiat currencies are currencies issued by your sovereign bodies, like the US dollar, which is issued by the government of US, rupees issued by India, NYRA issued by Nigeria, so on and so forth. They are known as fiat currencies. And yes, then we have our cryptocurrencies. Now, an on-ramp and off-ramp, you can just think of it in simple ways. On-ramp is when you're converting your fiat to crypto, and off-ramp is when you convert your crypto to fiat. The one thing that I would love for you to explain to our audiences is what are stable coins, because we refer to USDC, etc., as stable coins.
I'm happy to explain them. I will have to leave after this one just because I'm due on stage in a second. But a stablecoin really is the idea, and I mean USDC is pegged to the US dollar, but there are digital euros, there's digital yuan. The idea of having something that is pegged to a local currency that is really just a digital form of that dollar, of that asset. And I think that but it's happening on chain. I don't believe in the ones that are sort of algorithmic. I believe in ones that are backed by actual currency, which is also a very important thing. Some people kind of are gaming math, and some people are actually holding treasury.
Yes.
And so, if you're getting into stablecoin, look for ones that utilize treasuries. Yeah, but the idea that says I have 10 digital dollars and somewhere in a bank is 10 real dollars. And that's really all it is the ability. But then, instead of if I want to send that $10 to someone in Paris, I can do it within seconds. And that's the most important.
And low transaction fees.
And a very low transaction fee, much lower than if you were doing a wire. And so that's really what a stablecoin is and why it's so powerful. And I do think that in the next bunch of years, we will see a number of stablecoins actually that will be either brought to or partnered with local governments. Because I think they see the power of digital money and programmable money. But we're just not, there's a little fear there that we'll have to get over. But I'm excited and bullish about where it's going to go.
Thank you guys again. This is Sam Ewen. You're listening to the Silicon Dreams on Radio Zindagi. Sam, thank you so much for your time. Sam again leads Coindesk Studios, and guys, if you want to learn about cryptocurrencies, Coindesk is going to be your source of truth, source of knowledge. Go and take a look at all the fantastic articles on Coindesk. And if you're looking for If you are more of a visual person, then Coindesk Studios creates a lot of visual content. Look at Coindesk TV and learn from there. Thank you again, Sam.
Thank you so much.